If you've been over 60 for a while now, there's a good chance you know this feeling all too well. That constant tickle in the back of your throat. That little urge to clear your throat again and again, sometimes right in the middle of a conversation. Maybe it happens most in the morning, right after you wake up. Maybe it happens after meals. Maybe it's just always there, quietly, in the background of your day. You might have mentioned it to your doctor once or twice, and chances are you got a shrug or a quick answer like, "That's just allergies," or "That's normal as you get older." And maybe you believed it, maybe you still do. But here's the thing, your body doesn't usually do something for no reason, and that constant throat mucus, that need to clear your throat over and over, especially if it's been going on for months or even years, might actually be your body's way of trying to get your attention. Today, we're going to talk about what's really behind this, not the vague, dismissive answers you may have already heard. The real reasons this happens more and more as we age, why it tends to show up out of nowhere in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, and what it could be connected to inside your body that has nothing to do with a common cold or seasonal allergies. Some of what you're about to hear might surprise you. A few things might even make you think back to symptoms you've had for years without ever connecting the dots. So if you've ever sat there clearing your throat during dinner, wondering why it just won't stop, stick with me. By the end of this video, you're going to understand your body a little better than you did 5 minutes ago. And that understanding might just be more important than you realize. Let's start with something simple. What exactly is happening when you feel that mucus building up in your throat? Your body makes mucus every single day, all day long, whether you notice it or not. It's not a flaw. It's not a sign something's broken. Mucus is actually one of your body's built-in protection systems. It lines the inside of your nose, your throat, and your airways, and it's constantly trapping dust, germs, and irritants before they can get further into your lungs. Under normal circumstances, you swallow this mucus without even realizing it dozens of times a day. It's thin, it's quiet, and it does its job without ever announcing itself. So why, at some point, does it suddenly start to feel different? Thicker, more noticeable, more present? Many people don't realize that as we age, several things change at once inside the throat and airway system, and these changes can make normal mucus production suddenly feel like a real problem. For one, the tissue in your throat and airways naturally becomes a little less elastic over time, just like skin, joints, and muscles do. This can change the way mucus moves and drains. Instead of quietly sliding down the way it used to, it can sit there a little longer, feel a little thicker, and trigger that urge to clear your throat far more often than it did 20 years ago. If you're picturing your own throat right now, wondering, is that what's happening to me? You're definitely not alone. This is one of the most common and most commonly ignored complaints among people over 60. Here's where most people make a mistake. They assume this is just something you have to live with. A normal, unavoidable part of getting older, like gray hair or reading glasses. And in some cases, mild changes really are just a natural part of aging. But when the throat clearing becomes constant, when it interrupts conversations, meals, even sleep, when it's been going on for months without any real explanation, that's usually a sign that something more specific is going on, something your body is trying to bring to your attention. And that's exactly what we're going to dig into next, because the causes behind this are far more varied and far more fixable than most people assume. So what's actually behind that constant throat clearing? Let's talk about some of the most common culprits, because there isn't just one answer here. There are usually a few things working together. The first one might surprise you. It's not always about your throat at all. It's often about what's happening further down, in your stomach. Many people over 60 deal with something called acid reflux, or its more chronic form, GERD, without ever having the classic heartburn most people associate with it. This is sometimes called silent reflux, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Stomach acid quietly creeps up into the throat, especially at night while you're lying down, and irritates the delicate tissue there. Your body responds the only way it knows how, by producing more mucus to protect and soothe that irritation. So if you've ever woken up with a scratchy throat, or noticed the throat clearing is worse first thing in the morning, this might be exactly why. And here's the part most people never connect. You don't need to feel any burning in your chest at all for this to be happening. The second common cause is something you've probably heard of but maybe never thought applied to you: post-nasal drip. As we age, the sinuses can become more sensitive to everyday things: dust in the house, changes in temperature, even certain foods. When the sinuses react, they produce extra mucus, and instead of staying up in the nose, it drips down the back of the throat. You feel it as that thick, sticky sensation, and your body tries to clear it the only way it can. Here's an unexpected fact many people don't know. Certain blood pressure medications, some of the most commonly prescribed ones for people over 60, can actually thicken mucus or trigger a persistent throat-clearing reflex as a side effect. If you started a new medication around the same time this symptom appeared, that timing is not necessarily a coincidence. Dehydration plays a bigger role than most people expect too. As we get older, our sense of thirst naturally becomes less reliable. You might not feel thirsty even when your body genuinely needs water. When you're even mildly dehydrated, mucus becomes thicker and stickier, harder for your body to clear naturally, so it lingers in your throat instead. And then there's a factor that catches almost everyone off guard: your swallowing muscles. The muscles involved in swallowing can weaken slightly with age, a completely normal process, but one that means mucus doesn't clear as efficiently as it once did. It's not dangerous by itself, but it does mean that mucus sits in the throat longer, giving you that constant, nagging urge to clear it. The surprising part is, most people experiencing this are dealing with 2 or 3 of these causes layered on top of each other, not just one. Which is exactly why generic advice like drink more water or try allergy medicine often doesn't fully solve the problem. So now that you understand what might really be going on, let's talk about what you can actually do about it, because there are some very practical, very doable changes that can make a real difference. Now let's get into what actually helps, because understanding the cause is only half the picture. What you do next is where real relief begins. Let's start with something simple, but often done incorrectly: hydration. You've probably heard drink more water 100 times, and maybe you've rolled your eyes at it. But here's what most people miss. It's not just about how much water you drink, it's about when. Sipping water steadily throughout the day works far better than drinking a large glass all at once. Your body absorbs it more efficiently, and your mucus stays thinner and easier to clear, rather than alternating between dehydrated and overloaded. Warm liquids in particular can make a noticeable difference. A warm cup of herbal tea in the morning, or warm water with a little lemon, can help loosen mucus that's built up overnight. Many people notice this works better than cold water, which can sometimes make throat irritation feel worse. Now, here's where most people make a mistake without realizing it. If silent reflux might be playing a role, and remember, you don't need heartburn for that to be true, eating dinner too close to bedtime can quietly make everything worse. When you lie down soon after eating, it becomes much easier for stomach acid to travel upward. A simple shift, finishing dinner 2 to 3 hours before lying down, can genuinely reduce nighttime throat irritation for many people. Sleep position matters more than most people think too. If you tend to sleep flat on your back, propping yourself up slightly with an extra pillow, or a wedge pillow designed for this, can help gravity keep things where they belong. It sounds almost too simple to work, but many longtime sufferers say this one change alone noticeably reduced their morning throat clearing. Let's talk about your home environment for a moment, because it plays a bigger role than people expect. Dry indoor air, especially common in homes with heating or air conditioning running for hours, can dry out and irritate the throat, encouraging your body to produce thicker mucus as a defense. A humidifier in the bedroom, especially during dry seasons, can make a real difference in how your throat feels by morning. Diet is another overlooked piece of the puzzle. Dairy doesn't actually increase mucus production the way many people believe. That's a common myth. But it can make existing mucus feel thicker and more noticeable to some people. If you notice your throat feels worse after your morning coffee with cream or a bowl of cereal with milk, it may be worth paying attention to that pattern. And here's something almost nobody thinks about: gentle throat and swallowing exercises. Since swallowing muscles can weaken slightly with age, simple exercises, like deliberately swallowing a few times in a row or gently humming, can help strengthen those muscles over time and improve how efficiently mucus clears on its own. None of these changes require anything drastic. No extreme diets, no complicated routines. Just small, consistent adjustments that work with your body instead of against it. But there's one more piece of this puzzle that's just as important as anything else we've covered, and it has to do with knowing when this symptom is telling you something that truly needs a doctor's attention. Let's bring this all together, because by now, you understand something that most people your age never will. That constant throat clearing isn't just an annoying habit, and it's definitely not something you have to silently accept as just getting older. It's your body communicating with you. Sometimes it's saying, you need more water. Sometimes it's saying, check what's happening with your stomach acid. Sometimes it's a medication quietly working against you. And sometimes it's simply your throat muscles asking for a little extra support. Here's what's truly important to remember. Most of the time, this symptom responds beautifully to the small, simple changes we talked about. Sipping water throughout the day instead of gulping it. Finishing dinner a little earlier. Propping yourself up slightly at night. Adding moisture to the air in your bedroom. These aren't complicated fixes. They're small shifts that work with your body's natural rhythm. But there is one thing worth knowing, and it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to empower you. If your throat clearing comes with other changes, like unexplained weight loss, difficulty swallowing food or liquids, a persistent hoarse voice lasting more than a few weeks, or any blood in your mucus, that's your cue to bring it up with your doctor directly, not to wait it out. Most of the time, none of that will apply to you. But knowing the difference between this needs some lifestyle adjustments and this needs a doctor's evaluation is exactly the kind of awareness that keeps people healthy and confident as they age, instead of anxious and unsure. The truth is, so many people spend years quietly living with this, assuming nothing can be done, when in reality, a few thoughtful changes can bring real, noticeable relief. You don't have to keep clearing your throat through dinner conversations or feel that lump in the throat sensation every single morning, wondering if this is just how things are now. You now understand more about what's really happening in your body than you did when this video started. And that understanding is powerful. It's the difference between silently living with a symptom and actually doing something about it. So here's my gentle suggestion. Pick just one thing we talked about today. Maybe it's drinking water differently. Maybe it's adjusting when you eat dinner, and try it for the next week. Notice how your body responds. Small changes, given a little time, often add up to the biggest relief. Take care of yourself. Listen to what your body is telling you, and I'll see you in the next video.